All right, so let's talk about some common blemish removal methods, including the new one in Adobe Camera Raw. And then we're going to do just a little bit of image analysis using a very common method as well to kind of see what's going on and how an image has been changed from one version to another, depending on how the pixels are modified. Very, very simple to do. Let me walk you through it to explain what I mean. So here's a shot of Bree. Now, depending on what your methods are, how long you've been on Photoshop, or what seems to work better for you in your images, you might use one of many different ways to remove, blemishes as it were. So if I come into this area right here and I'm thinking, okay, I want to get rid of some of these moles maybe, right? There's a host of different techniques. I always say let's not use the clone stamp tool because that's going to create patterning. I really recommend against that, right? But what are the regular ones that people use all the time? Obviously, there's going to be the patch tool, which a lot of people like. I am concerned about the patch tool again because of patterning, but in some situations, it's exactly what you need, right? And then there's the standard issue, spot healing brush tool, super common, regular healing brush tool, which goes back many years, and then the remove tool, which is more of an AI-ish type of thing, and it works well as well. So let's just kind of go through them and look at the way to make a simple comparison to kind of analyze what might be going on. I'm going to start with the spot healing brush because that's pretty common. A lot of people use it. Duplicate the original image. Here we are. And let's go ahead and use it. And get rid of this area here, and this area here, and maybe this area here, and just, kind of find a couple of spots, etc., something like that. Okay, let's say that's a normal workflow we might do, right? Just real fast. It looks clean enough. Maybe go there, maybe go there, maybe go there. It looks clean enough, and we think we've got it. Okay, so one way we can always analyze what one layer is doing versus the layer underneath it, especially if there's only small changes, is to take that layer, which I just duplicated and modified with healing, and change the blend mode to difference, okay? That gives us an idea of what is different, right? Now, a lot of times when I do my analysis, I don't like it like this, so I will invert it, just add an invert layer. I feel like that lets me see things a little bit better. Now, if you look at this, you can see obviously where the changes are, but here's where I have a problem. The areas inside the painted spots, those circles that you painted with the brush, have all been changed. Now, that's normally not a crisis, but on the old spot healing brush, I say old in quotes, I notice patterning. I notice some splotchiness and blotchiness that's unnecessary. The fact that this is so radically changed over here, which if we see that area is right around her lip, there's a lot of changes here, and that can be good. It also cannot be good. This tells me that a lot of stuff was changed and there's a hard line edge between the area you wanted to modify and the area you didn't, which is what the spot healing brush has done. 15 years ago, this is a very big deal. It's a little bit different now, right? So let's turn off the invert real quick and let's kind of put this one back on normal. And what we'll see if we toggle on and off is that we do see those changes. We see some blurring. It doesn't add up quite like we want. This becomes a problem later when we sharpen, becomes a problem later when we add contrast or color grades. These splotches stick out. Okay, this is why some people prefer the patch tool and they can splice in every little detail that they want. Absolutely not a problem at all. So how about this? Let's delete that. In fact, we'll leave it for now, and we're going to call it spot healing. Okay, just spot for spot healing. We're going to turn that one off. We're going to duplicate again. Now let's try a different tool. Let's try the more modern tool. Remove. Okay, let's try a remove tool. I'm going to go ahead and turn off, and it's already off, remove after each stroke, and let's kind of go over the same areas. Similarly anyway, not obviously exact, and just kind of see what sort of result we get with the remove tool. Hit enter, let it do its processing. Shouldn't take very long. And a 1, 2, 3, away we go. All right, let's see. And now we put that on difference. Let's see what we get, and we invert it. Unfortunately, we get a very similar result. Okay, it's making choices and they blend okay, but this is not a crisis. This is not, I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying that a lot of times when I see automated processes like a remove tool, like a spot healing brush, when I see these hard lines over the areas I want to work in, historically, they've usually caused perimeters that are very obvious, especially as you go about your edit, as you continue again with contrast, with color grading, sharpening, and things like that. So my concern would be those perimeters being very, very sharp, being very, very obvious when the changes happen. Now, to your eye, initially, you don't see it until you start modifying things and things get, quote unquote, more intense, especially if you're going to do some heavy, heavy editing later. So editing, again, in terms of contrast, in terms of color grading, in terms of adding all kinds of different effects, you never know what can happen when you have those little inconsistencies, especially across like an entire face, right? Okay, let's duplicate again. This time we're going to open up Camera Raw. We're going to use their new function, which is kind of an all or nothing thing, even though I can make it more manual if I want to. So here I am, Camera Raw. I'm going to click over here on the right side, and that is sort of the remove area. Okay, I'm going to go to blemishes, which again, relatively new. Hit apply, and let it do its thinking. This is all AI, of course. And so it's going to analyze it. When it's done, I'm going to ramp it up to maximum. I'm going to show you a quick little side feature because there's something that I want to preserve on Bree's face, which is one of her signature things. So if I max it out, there we go. We can see the skin editing has been done. I'm going to go to the refine button, and it's already default on restore because I'm going to bring back her little spot there and her 2 spots here, which is kind of her signature look. Hit apply, hit OK. Let that finish thinking and processing, and there it is. Now, let's put that layer on difference and invert. Okay, I don't know if you noticed or not, but there's a subtle difference in the perimeters because it chose the perimeters, the AI did, and it blended the perimeters based on, okay, where do I need to make the changes and how well can I blend it in? That seems to be what the AI is thinking, and honestly, it's done pretty good. So for example, if I turn off this one and I go to the remove tool, which I need to put it back on difference. There we go. You can see those hard lines. You can also see how significantly darker they are because there's radical differences, right? As opposed to what the AI has done in Camera Raw. Very impressive. Spot removal. Let's put that one on difference as well. You can see we have the circles. They're very strong. Again, not a crisis, but does show where perimeters can start showing problems. Compare that to remove, about the same. And then in the AI, which we did not do that, let's call that one ACR. We can see it's better. Now, if I turn off invert, of course, and put this back to normal, let's look. Off and on. Off and on. It has done a really good job in blending things and helping the process look more natural. So I will give it to Adobe. The ACR blemish removal is really, really solid. I'll give it that. And it's very fast too, all things considered. I can come in and just decide what areas I want to keep, including her moles, and keep rolling. Now, the default that it seems to show, we'll go ahead and do it again just to kind of give you a demo because I think this is pretty cool. The default that it shows on here when you come to the blemishes and hit apply, which by the way, one of the things I don't love about ACR and some of these AI tools is all the clicks we have to go to get something to work. I would love just a blemish button. If there's one I don't know about, I will find it, or you can tell me in the comments. Regardless. Anyway, as you can see, the fade, which is how intense you want the entire process to look, is usually set to default of 50. I love that because you can see off and on. In fact, let's zoom in. You can see off and on. That's great because it really helps that blending process. Now, if you max it out, then of course it's going to make it a little bit softer, and it's not literal opacity. It's using some kind of logic where it just it keeps more of the intense blemishes or the areas that are more obvious. I feel like it does anyway. It keeps more of them until you push the fade up higher. Push the fade down to 50, it just kind of blends things a little bit better. I opted to bring back her moles completely because they're part of her look. However, I didn't have to. I can just leave them faded if I really, really wanted to. Works really well. I gotta give it to Adobe. Now, like I said, I'd love a function that's just a little more direct. I would absolutely love a function that floats on the layers window. However, with what ACR has become over the last 6, 8, 12 months, this is extremely impressive and very, very useful. Never mind if instead of, I'm gonna hit OK, instead of just duplicating the layer and then running ACR, I could have also made it a smart object, allowing me to change if I needed to change as I was working. So as you can see with a little bit of image analysis, go ahead and put it back on difference, invert, at least that's what I do. You'll notice that the changes, you'll notice that the changes that it's made are very organically blended in. It's very, very subtle. It's not that much of a crisis compared to, you know, the remove tool or whatever. It's not like this is just terrible. It's just a little more obvious on these tools versus what the AI did. Now, granted, it did a lot more, but just to give you a quick visual again, this is what the AI and ACR did. This is what the remove tool did, which is also AI, but slightly different. And this is the old school spot removal, which is fine. But in terms of blending in a change, in terms of making something look pretty natural, I got to give it to ACR. So it's definitely worth trying that out. Even if you're trying to do a beauty edit and you're trying to keep something really detailed, it might be worth looking into. I definitely am going to test with it more and see if I like it, see if it at least gets me a good start and go from there. And once again, like I had in a recent video, I posed the question, Adobe, what are you doing with ACR? What are you doing with Camera Raw and Camera Raw Filter? Because it really seems to me like you're taking these two related functions and pushing them very hard towards photographers, which is fine, but I'm wondering where this is going to go come 2027.